What if Camila fell in love with Houston? Welcome to another episode of What If. This time we're coming back strong with a big theory. Now, how exactly would Camila fall in love with Houston? Well, in order to gain an insight into that, first we need to discover a bit about Houston. So, something that we've always wanted to put into the series, but it's not quite clear, except for the description of Houston in the casting call, is that Houston is a British detective who is sent from England once the case of Antonio Mendoza's murder is announced. So he is deployed into Brazil because he is outstanding in his field. He is known all around the world for the good work that he does as a detective. Therefore, he is deployed because, of course, it's a murder of a politician. It's a very important case. So, let's see what would happen if Camila fell in love with Houston. Now, how would she fall in love with him? Well, as you know, Camila is a police officer that gets promoted to a police consultant. Her job, kinda like the bunny from Zootopia, was to give out parking tickets in the beginning, and then suddenly she is given the option to handle a case of her own, which is the breaking point between whether she gets the promotion and becomes an actual detective, or whether she just stays as a regular police officer. With all of that information taken into consideration, Camila would most likely look up to Houston if it wasn't for his annoying behavior. So now, we have to change the way the characters behave on both sides here. So we have to change Camila's closed attitude towards Houston, because as soon as Houston blows his cover and basically asks Camila out on a date, she knows his intentions, therefore she is reserved against him. She doesn't believe anything he says. And on the other side, we need Houston to be more professional in order for things to work. So now, let's say that Houston was more professional, he didn't screw up right in the beginning and share his feelings for Camila, but rather, as we know, he is technically he is on the good side. However, we've seen him do some bad things that are not meant for him to do. For example, take Camila's camera, look through private footage, take photos and videos of Jose without his knowledge, and then lie to Camila and keep secrets when there's supposed to be an investigation team. And afterwards even threatened to kick Camila out of the investigation if she acts up, to which, of course, as we know, Camila replies with a very sassy, queenish attitude, so props to you, Camila, for that. Okay, so now, back to the topic. Let's say that Houston was actually professional. Now, what would happen here? Well, Camila would simply start admiring him. He is a man who is very good in a domain, in a sphere, in a job that Camila wishes to do for her whole life. So of course there would be a certain level of admiration. What could happen is they could potentially start meeting outside of work times in order for them to discuss more information, in order for Camila to gather some more knowledge and to be introduced into the whole job of being a detective, into the whole career. And now here comes the breaking point. She wouldn't, of course, she is in a happy relationship with Jose, and she wouldn't just run off to Houston. However, here we have a key difference than the universe that the actual series is taking place in, Mystery Lies. Here we have a key difference, which is that Camila doesn't despise Houston. On the contrary, she admires him, she acknowledges him as a professional who is above her in what she wants to do. So of course she's going to listen to him. So when Houston starts actually suspecting Jose of being a criminal, and as we know, Houston is not only suspecting Jose because of jealousy. Yes, the jealousy is what drives him. He is aware of that. He is sure that Jose is the perpetrator of the crime because he is jealous of him and the fact that he has Camila as his girlfriend. However, he also has some clues that Jose lives behind. For example, as you can see in the series, he got suspicious of him in numerous interviews. He followed him around a bit and he just saw some traces of suspicious behavior. So what would happen here? Well, now here things get spicy. Maybe Camila would actually start listening to Houston instead of denying everything that she says. We know that Jose is a manipulator as well, so is Houston, of course. But now that Houston is taking on a good role and actually has adequate suspicions of Jose and not just jealousy, driven by jealousy, because the problem with Houston was that yes, he did actually have stuff against Jose. However, the problem is that he maintained this jealous attitude and just despised Jose for the fact that he was in a relationship with Camila, which kind of earned him a bad image, a bad reputation in Camila's eyes, and that's the breaking point. That's where everything comes down. So most likely, if Houston had an adequate attitude in this situation, if he remained professional and didn't ask her out on a date, and of course she starts admiring him, she starts wanting to see him more because he's a professional in her dream career, what would happen is, well, maybe she would believe him actually. Of course, Jose is her loved one. She is not just going to switch sides and of course start to despise, suspect her own boyfriend, soon to be fiance, and soon to be husband. So she would actually start spying on him as well. She would use the fact that they are in the same house, they live in the same household, to get an insight of his behavior. Now, she would see a certain pattern. As we know, Jose reports every crime that he does. So firstly we have the murder, which he is then sent to report, and then we have the breaking into the police department where he even threatens Camila behind his mask, and then he is sent to report the break-in and the invasion of the Rio de Janeiro police department. So of course these are all coincidental, there is no meaning behind them. However, she would notice a certain pattern, so she would start following him around. And as you know, in the main storyline, she is so against Houston and so in love with her own I was about to say husband, with her own boyfriend Jose, that she suspects Jose, you know, the suspicious times where he went out of the house, when he came back home late, which he was actually out to do, and afterwards cover his crime. What would she think of them? In the real storyline, she thinks that he is cheating, and since they kinda had a small spark once Jose first started working in the television, she thinks in the main storyline, in the main universe, that Jose is actually cheating on her with Raquel. However, no. Here, every piece of suspicious behavior is not a sign that he is cheating, but rather a sign that he is a criminal. Now, this is where things get interesting. So, what would be his slip-up points? Of course, the time when he goes out of their house in the middle of the night. I think that's in like the first ever episode, and then the chase happens, and then everything. That's a lot of evidence in itself. Then, as you know, there is this scene where Houston tries to show Camila the tape, the footage that he has found of the reasoning behind Jose's crime. So basically, his father, over the fact that he won the last elections in which the two were competing. So that in itself is a motive that's big enough. Of course, his father has been killed by an opposition leader. So what does he do? Of course, he wants to get revenge. So that's just logical. And now, as we know, since Houston violated both Camila and Jose's privacy in the main storyline, she just completely shrugs him off. She doesn't want to see what he has to show her. So what does he do? Well, he just is there left with this knowledge to himself. And in this alternate universe that we're talking about, Camila would not dismiss Houston. She would actually want to see the footage, which again, she would have another piece of evidence against Jose, and too much stuff are piling up. Again, we have the fact that Jose loses his earring. So what does that mean? Well, Camila is blinded by her love for Jose in the main storyline, and she just believes him that he lost his earring somewhere. But then she finds an earring on this crime spot, on the spot where the crime was committed, and she actually recognizes that the earring is the exact same earring that is missing from Jose. And if she didn't hate Houston, as happens in the main storyline, she would actually be willing to do a DNA test with her husband, as Houston suggests. And now, do you see what's happening? There is a lot of evidence piling up against Jose, so what would Camila do? Well, she would start suspecting him, she would investigate him, and considering the fact that she lives in a house with him, it wouldn't be too hard to find that there is something wrong. Of course, she would keep her cover, she wouldn't blow it, she would be completely oblivious around Jose. Oblivious, of course, in quote-unquote oblivious, because she knows what's going on, but she just doesn't want him to find out. So she would just investigate Jose privately from the comfort of her own home. Now, how does that sound? That sounds insane. And now, she arrests him, he gets arrested, and here it will be kind of a heartbreaking scene, I imagine, because Jose just being arrested by his own girlfriend. Of course, well, in the main storyline, he is shot by his own girlfriend. He is killed by her because she was oblivious to who he was behind that mask. But what in this universe, it's actually, I feel, gonna be a bit more dramatic, however, on Jose's side. Now, since Camila killed Jose in the main storyline, she was the one that suffered because she basically became a widow at a very young age with the boy who she thought was the love of her life, who actually betrayed her and used the fact that he was her boyfriend against the investigation she was working in. So that's heartbreaking for Camila. However, here it would be heartbreaking for Jose because Camila's feelings would have completely died out after she realized what type of person Jose was, and all that would be left would be for Jose to just be completely oblivious to the fact that Camila is aware of his true nature, and then bam, surprise, an unpleasant surprise for Jose. And what would happen then? Well, Camila would fall in love with Houston because he would once again prove that he is a good man, a good detective, someone who is caring, and someone whose suspicions turned out to be completely correct right from the start of the investigation. Now, that would mean that Camila would just fall in love with Houston because something so dramatic, so life-changing, it just turns her whole life upside down, would happen because of Houston, and she would forever cherish him. And then basically they would have a happy life ever after, as long as Houston doesn't show one of his bad traits as he did in the whole Mystery Lies. Well, thank you so much for watching this episode of What If. I hope you enjoyed. Let us know what type of content you'd like to see, and just know that we're working on the survival series and we're also working on Richard Heart. Stay safe, guys. We love you. Bye.